खलीफा के हम हैं खलीफा हमारा, वो दिल है हमारा आका हमारा, हमारा हमारा खलीफा हमारा, वो दिल है हमारा आका हमारा, वो दिल है हमारा आका हमारा.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of This Week with Huzur. Today, we're delighted to present highlights of a virtual mulaqat with Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, may Allah be his helper, that took place last weekend, as well as highlights from beloved Huzur's concluding address at the International Conference of Humanity First on Sunday. We start with Saturday's mulaqat, in which Huzur met with members of Nasirat from the UK.
Last weekend, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih V, may Allah be his helper, held a virtual mulaqat with Nasirat from the Northern England and Scotland, and also delivered a concluding address at the International Conference of Humanity First. The virtual mulaqat took place on Saturday, where Nasirat, aged between 13 and 15, gathered at the Darul Aman Mosque in Manchester. After a short formal session, the Nasirat were able to seek Huzur's guidance on a range of issues.
My question is, depression and anxiety are becoming very common these days. Huzur, can you please provide guidance regarding this matter, and what is your view about mental health?
It is because we are involved too much in materialistic things. The preference order of our desires and our wishes has changed. And instead of seeking Allah's love and Allah's closeness, we are running after worldly things. This is the main cause of it. And when your desires are not fulfilled, you cannot get whatever you want, then you become frustrated. And then that frustration leads to anxiety. So this is what Allah Ta'ala has said in the Holy Quran, Allah bi zikrillahi tatma'innul qulub, that remembrance of Allah is the best way for the satisfaction of your heart. Right? So if you remember Allah, whenever you have any problem, you bow before Allah, you offer your 5 daily prayers fervently, sincerely, then Allah will give comfort and satisfy your heart, right? And resultantly, you will feel comfortable and better. And most of the patients nowadays who are having this anxiety problem are because they are too much inclined towards worldly things. So, if you try to get closer to Allah Ta'ala, then at least 80% of your anxiety will finish. Okay? So, you are lucky that Allah Ta'ala has given you the chance to be the member of that community who is following the reformer of the age, the promised Messiah, whose advent was foretold. So he has asked us that instead of running after worldly things, you try to get closer to your Creator. And that will give you satisfaction and comfort. Okay?
Jazakallah.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
My question is that if religion stops us from doing bad and encourages us to do good, without having a religion, we can also do good and avoid bad things. So why is it important to have a religion?
You see, as far as morals are concerned, an atheist can have good morals right? He can have the quality of speaking truth all the time, whereas some believers or the followers of the religion do not speak truth. They sometimes are liars. So in that way, that atheist is better than those believers, right? But at the same time, these atheists believe that all the good morals came to this world or were introduced to the humanity through messengers of God, through the prophets, right? So they admit that the good morals were given to us by prophets. So that shows that it is the religion which has brought good morals in this world for human beings, right? Now the question is, if a non-believer or an atheist and person who does not believe in Allah Ta'ala have good morals and do good deeds, why should we believe in religion? So Allah Ta'ala says that this life, this worldly life is not the only life. There is life after death. And we believe, and that is what all the prophets told us, that after this life there is an eternal life. Right? Allah Ta'ala says, when you do good deeds in this world, you are performing your duties, discharging your duties you owe to your Creator, to Allah Ta'ala. And you are discharging your duties you owe to your fellow beings, then Allah Ta'ala will reward you in the hereafter. See? So this is why we say that not only good morals, but a true believer, a follower of the religion, should also discharge his duties towards Allah Ta'ala and do according to what Allah Ta'ala has taught us and perform our obligations toward Allah Ta'ala. And in the Holy Quran, Allah Ta'ala says that the purpose of your life is to bow before Allah and worship Allah. And at the same time, Allah Ta'ala says that it is not going to benefit Allah Ta'ala if you worship Allah. It is going to benefit you, that Allah Ta'ala will reward you in this world and the hereafter. Okay? And secondly, Allah Ta'ala says that you perform your duties towards your fellow beings. And that will also be rewarded in the hereafter. An atheist, a non-believer, only gets his reward in this world. But a believer gets his reward here and the hereafter. So that is the benefit of following the religion.
We cover terrorism as a topic in social studies, and a lot of the time terrorism is associated with Islam. How can we help people understand that terrorism does not originate from a religion, but mostly political agendas?
You see, Islamic teachings has nothing to do with terrorism. Allah Ta'ala says very clearly, categorically in the Holy Quran that the killing of a person is akin to the killing of the whole of mankind. And saving a life of one person is as you have saved the life of the whole of the mankind. Right? Then Holy Quran says that killing a person without reason will take you to the hell. Right? The Holy Quran says killing a believer will lead you to go to hell. What Muslims are doing? Muslims are killing each other. So all those who are killing each other, according to the teaching of the Holy Quran and according to the narrations of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, they will go to hell. And then Islam says that to spread Islam, you should not use sword. Even when the first commandment of fighting back the enemies of Islam was given in the Surah Hajj, and that clearly says that you have been granted permission to fight back, to retaliate these enemies of Islam, because if now you leave them to do whatever they like, then you will not see any religion on the face of the earth. So you will not see any synagogue, any church, any temple, or any mosque intact. So here where the permission is given to fight back is not to save Islam or to spread Islam, but to save the religion. And that is Judaism, Christianity, and other religions. So it is written in the Holy Quran. Allah Ta'ala says, there will not be any synagogue, any church, any temple, and then at the end says any mosque, if you did not retaliate. So that shows Islam is not a militant religion. Rather, it protects the religion. It is against the terrorism. It is against extremism. Whatever the present day people are doing in the name of Islam, they are actually defaming the name of Islam. They are trying to misinterpret the verses of the Holy Quran in their favor. That the jihad is permitted and very much important in Islam. What type of jihad they are doing? Allah Ta'ala says, if a believer kills a believer, he will go to hell. So here, in the extremism, we see these people, those who are terrorists or extremists, they are fighting with each other in the Muslim countries. Here you will see very rare cases in the Europe where they come and kill some non-Muslim. But in Muslim countries, they are killing each other. And it means they are making their place in hell, not in the paradise. As I have already said, Islam protects all the religion, and it has nothing to do with extremism or terrorism or destroying other religions or spreading the message of Islam with sword. Okay? Understand or not?
जी
Right? Okay. जाओ फिर.
Exactly.
My question is that in which field should Ahmadi girls go into to best serve both the Jamaat and humanity?
Acha, what is your opinion?
I think medical.
Then, first preference is medical, second, teaching, third, human rights law, fourth, engineering. Then, with regards to this present day problem of global warming, so you can study this subject as well. So, any field which is beneficial for human beings, Ahmadi girls should follow that field. So, the first preference, for the girls, first preference should be medicine, teaching. For Waqf-e-Naw, that is what I prefer. Otherwise, there are so many other fields which are beneficial for human being, can be taken by Ahmadi girls as well. Right?
Jazakallah.
Okay.
Huzur, my question is, How can girls become more like Dale Shaheed Sahib?
You work hard for the cause of Jamaat. Spread the message of Allah Ta'ala. Show your example as a good believer and good Ahmadi girl, Ahmadi Muslim girl, right? So that people will see you and say that these are the girls who are the true portrayal of the Islamic teaching. So, as far as Shahadat is concerned, that is, Allah knows better whom He is going to give this status. But at least we should perform our duty by practicing Islamic teaching and portraying ourselves as the good believer and a good Muslim. Okay? ठीक है? Jazakallah.
My question is, what should a Nasirat do in the event that one of their parents is trying to take them away from the teaching of Islam Ahmadiyyat?
You yourself have to decide whether you have to follow the teaching of your religion or the order of your parents. Right? If you believe in Allah Ta'ala and you have a firm faith in Allah Ta'ala, then Allah Ta'ala says that you can tell your parents that I will follow the teaching of my religion and whatever Allah Ta'ala says to me. Then I will not obey you either of the parents.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Jazakallah.
Right. Assalamu alaikum.
My question is, in life, how can we create a balance between need and want?
You don't know your preferences? What do you truly need? Truly need is some clothing to cover yourself. If your parents are well off, you can ask them to get you good clothing. If they are well off, they can get you good food. Otherwise, the minimum requirement is the food a human being should need. And above that, if you say that, no, I will not take whatever is cooked here in my house, whether it is a vegetable or some dal or something, and I would like to eat Nando's, otherwise I will not eat, that is not good. Right? He said there should be contentment in your heart. Right? If you are contented, that is the main thing. That one is your requirement for your body nourishment, your food. To cover yourself, your dress. To get better education, your schooling. Other than that, if you say, no, I will not go to the public school or government school, if I don't get admission in private school, I will not study, that is not right. If you demand something which is beyond the capacity of your parents, is wrong. Right? So you have to be contented. Right? अस्सलाम वालेकुम। अच्छा जी मतीन साहब, आज तो लड़कियों ने लगता है काफ़ी तैयारी की हुई थी। They were very well prepared. अच्छा मैनचेस्टर नॉर्थ की है ना, मैनचेस्टर की है ना, they are always like this. अच्छा अस्सलाम वालेकुम, अल्लाह हाफिज़।
वालेकुम सलाम रहमतुल्लाह, जज़ाकुमुल्लाह।
The following day, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih V, may Allah be his helper, delivered the concluding address at the International Conference of Humanity First, held to mark its silver jubilee. Throughout his address, Hazrat spoke of how service to humanity was a religious obligation for a true Muslim.
With the grace of Allah, Humanity First is now a very well established and well respected international charitable organization. Indeed, Humanity First has now reached the stage where external NGOs or similar humanitarian organizations are seeking to partner and collaborate with it to fulfill their own charitable obligations and objectives. For example, in one country, an international NGO linked to the United Nations expressed its desire and intention to give funds to Humanity First in order for it to carry out humanitarian work and projects on its behalf. This demonstrates that with the grace of Allah, Humanity First has earned the respect and trust of other humanitarian agencies, including those associated with the United Nations. Of course, this was destined to happen, as the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that if your etiquettes and conduct is good, then people will appreciate you, and you may consider that you have contributed positively to society. Repeatedly, the Holy Quran has instructed Muslims to help and aid those who are vulnerable or in need, irrespective of their caste, creed, or color. Furthermore, there are countless traditions and sayings of the Holy Prophet ﷺ that illustrate how he spent his entire life serving mankind and striving to inculcate the same spirit of sympathy for others within his followers. Certainly, the Holy Prophet ﷺ was an everlasting source of mercy for mankind, and through his blessed words and deeds, he shone an illuminating and everlasting light upon the magnificent teachings of Islam and demonstrated that serving mankind is an inherited and truly fundamental part of our faith. Unquestionably, the blessed and noble teachings and practice of the Holy Prophet ﷺ stand as a timeless example for the Muslim community and the world at large. It was his way to care for those who were weak, deprived, or who had lost their parents or guardians at a young age, and he desired the same from the followers. Thus, never let any opportunity to serve those who are mired in poverty or subjected to hardship slip through your fingers, and never, God forbid, allow even a trace of pride to enter your mind, thinking that you are doing such people a favor. Rather, it is they who are doing you a favor, because they are providing you with an opportunity to gain the pleasure of God and to reap His blessings in both this world and the next. Enlightening us on how to serve humanity, the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah the Almighty repeatedly commands that irrespective of religion or ethnicity, you should show love and compassion to all people. Allah commands us to feed the hungry, free those shackled in bondage, pay off the arrears of those mired in debt, shoulder the burden of others, and truly fulfill the duties owed to mankind. It was to fulfill these objectives that Humanity First was founded. It was established to serve mankind irrespective of one's beliefs or background. It was established to provide medical treatment and care to those who are afflicted with ill health. It was established to protect and shelter orphans and to help those engulfed in debt. It was established to feed those who are hungry and to quench their thirst. It was established to provide relief to those who find their worlds turned instantly upside down following natural disasters and calamities, or who are living in desperation through no fault of their own. At the end, I also wish to offer my heartfelt congratulations and thanks to the volunteers and team members of Humanity First, because during its first quarter century, they have served in an exemplary way with great sincerity and loyalty to the cause of serving humanity. The passion of its volunteers has enabled Humanity First to live up to its name and to become a well-established and renowned charity and disaster relief agency. Alhamdulillah, each year the scope of work of Humanity First has continued to expand, and I pray that this always remains the case. May its members and volunteers be those who stand ever ready to wipe away the tears of those who are in distress or hurting in any way. May you always be ready to help those blameless souls who are the victims of their circumstances to overcome their grief, desperation, and heartache. May you always stand up for the rights of the weak, deprived, and vulnerable. May Allah enable all of you to play your role in serving the cause of humanity and helping those tormented by abject poverty and deprivation to stand upon their own 2 feet. May Allah the Almighty bless the efforts of Humanity First, and may it never take a backward step. Rather, I pray it always marches forward in its efforts to humanity. Ameen. Jazakallah.
Those were highlights from just some of Beloved Huzur's activities last weekend. We now end with our final segment, the Friday Sermon Summary.
In today's Friday sermon, Huzur Anwar, may Allah be his helper, announced the commencement of the 88th year of Tehreek-e-Jadid. Whilst narrating various inspirational incidents regarding the financial sacrifices of Jamaat members around the world, Huzur reminded office bearers of their responsibility to educate members of the Jamaat regarding the true essence of financial sacrifice.
Allah Ta'ala के फजल से जमात अपने महदूद वसाइल के साथ भी जिस काम को शुरू करती है, अल्लाह ताला इसमें ऐसी बरकत डालता है कि देखने वाले समझते हैं कि शायद ये कई मिलियन पाउंड का खर्च कर रहे हैं इस काम में, लेकिन उन्हें पता नहीं कि ये गरीब लोगों के पैसे हैं जिनको अल्लाह ताला की तरफ से बरकत पड़ती है, और इसके नतीजे में हमारे छोटे काम भी बड़े होकर नज़र आते हैं। यहाँ ये भी बता दूँ कि जब जमात बढ़ती है तो मुख्तलिफ़ किस्म की सोच रखने वाले और कम तरबियत वाले या पुराने अहमदियों में से भी तरबियत की कमी की वजह से ऐसी सोच रखने वाले नज़र आ जाते हैं। घरों में भी बातें करते हैं, बच्चों में भी के सामने ही बातें करते हैं, बच्चों के दिनों में भी सवाल उठने शुरू हो जाते हैं, जो ये सवाल करते हैं कि हम क्यों और किस लिए चंदा दें। तो ये ओहदेदारों का काम है पहले तो कि अपने रवैयों और अमल से लोगों के शकूक दूर करें, लोगों में एतमाद कायम हो, पता हो कि जो चंदा लोग दे रहे हैं उसका एक ख़ास मसरफ़ है और उसी मकसद के लिए खर्च होता है। दूसरे प्यार से इन्हें समझाएं कि माली कुर्बानी की क्या अहमियत है, खुदा ताला की नज़र में कितनी अहम है ये चीज़। और ये माली कुर्बानी है جو وہ کر رہے ہوتے ہیں تو اس کے بدلے میں اللہ تعالیٰ کی رضا ان کو ملتی ہے. اور پھر یہ بھی کہ کہاں خرچ ہوتی ہے یہ قربانی؟ اشاعت اسلام پر خرچ ہوتی ہے. ٹی وی چینل ہمارا چل رہا ہے، اس میں بے شمار خرچ ہوتا ہے. کتب شائع ہو رہی ہیں، قرآن کریم کی اشاعت ہو رہی ہے، غریب بچوں کی تعلیم پر خرچ ہو رہا ہے، بھوکوں کو کھانا کھلانے پر خرچ ہو رہا ہے، مبلغین کی تعلیم اور ان کے ذریعے تبلیغ پر خرچ ہو رہا ہے، مساجد بن رہی ہیں، اور بہت سے اسی تعلق میں خرچ ہیں جماعت کے. تو یہ بات میں نے اس لیے نہیں کہی کہ خدا نخواستہ لوگوں میں بہت زیادہ سوال اٹھنے لگ گئے ہیں. اس لیے بتائی ہے کہ جب جماعت پھیلتی ہے تو پھیلاؤ کی وجہ سے شر پھیلانے والے اور شیطانی وساوس پیدا کرنے والے بھی آ جاتے ہیں، جو فتنہ کی کوشش کرتے ہیں اور کم تربیت یافتہ ذہنوں میں شکوک پیدا کرنے کی کوشش کرتے ہیں. اللہ تعالیٰ کا فضل ہے کہ جماعت کے افراد ایسی پختہ سوچ رکھتے ہیں کہ انہیں پتہ ہے کہ نظام جماعت چلانے کے لیے اخراجات کی ضرورت ہے، اور یہ اللہ تعالیٰ کا حکم ہے کہ اس کی راہ میں خرچ کرو.